Hey guys, Sam here with Planes on the Prairie. Today we're back again at the Fargo Air Museum and we're looking at the Piper PA-25-235 Pawnee. This is an agricultural aircraft, also serves some other civilian uses, and we'll talk about those more later. We'll get started with the history of this aircraft. So the Pawnee actually didn't start out with Piper at all. It was a Piper sponsored event to the Texas A&M University, and under the leadership of Fred Week, who is an aircraft designer who actually was very famous for other designs such as the Piper PA-28 Cherokee and the Airco Air Coupe. We have some pictures there for you to show you those. But those aircraft were very famous. The Cherokees nowadays are one of the most highly used aircraft for training and recreational flying in the United States. But he got together with these other faculty and students to design what was called the AG-3, which was the pre-production version of the Pawnee, and it was the initial prototype. And Piper tasked them to use a lot of components from the Piper PA-18 Super Cub, for example, the wings here, and a lot of other components from what is called the Piper PA-22 Tri-Pacer. So both some earlier Piper aircraft, and they were trying to repurpose a lot of components. And Piper really loved the idea, and later on they actually redesignated the PA-25 Pawnee. And from there, they came up with another designation, which was another prototype in 1962 called the PA-25-235, which is actually this variant here. And we'll kind of get into some more of the performance and other aspects here, and we'll take you around to another angle of the aircraft. Okay, so the Pawnees initially, as the AG-3 designation, were fitted with a Lycoming 0320, which produced about 180 horsepower. And for the purposes of agricultural aircraft, it just wasn't enough. So then later on in the 235 version, they outfitted a Lycoming 0530, which produced 235 horsepower. Hence the -235 variant. And later 0540 engines were actually rated for 260 horsepower. And really the more horsepower on an egg plane, the better, because then if you increase your engine size without putting too much on the frontier, you can actually increase your useful load and increase the amount of chemicals you can store in what's called the hopper, which we'll come around to next. So here's the cockpit and hopper section. Here's the hopper just forward of the cockpit. Most egg planes are fitted with hoppers forward of the cockpit. This one on the Pawnees, they have a hopper capacity of 150 gallons here, and that could also equate to up to about 1,500 pounds. So that really puts it into perspective on useful loads of aircraft. You're really putting a lot of weight in these airplanes, and you can expect a lot longer takeoff rolls and things like that when you have a more fully loaded aircraft like that. And you can see along the wings we have the spray booms. This is where the chemicals come out of, fed from the hopper, of course, and on both sides of the wings. And that's how you apply the spraying. We'll be talking more about that. There's plenty of crop dusters in North Dakota, Minnesota, and all over the plains, and we'll be sitting down with at least a couple spray pilots here in the future. But then if you want to come up to the cockpit, a lot of spray plane cockpits like this, very simple. You can see we have the numbers down on the front panel there. Those are to indicate how much chemical you have left in your hopper. A good indication on when you should turn back. Really simple cockpits for indications. And you're flying really low to the ground, low and slow. These planes go maybe about 100 miles an hour on their spray runs. Max cruise speed on the Pawnee is 114, but when you're spraying, you're typically going a lot slower. But this specific aircraft, it doesn't have a lot of standout history. Saw a lot of its life in Kansas, and as you can see, it's got a few stickers here. Did a lot of spraying down in Kansas, and then moved up into North Dakota in the mid-2010s. The Pawnees as a whole, they're not really widely used as spray planes anymore. My grandfather back in the day flew Pawnees as a crop duster and then upgraded to what's called the Pawnee Brave, which is the PA-36. But A lot of these are actually used more for like glider towing. So if you want to go take a glider up somewhere, there's a lot of places in the United States to do that. Pretty good chance you'll be seeing a Pawnee pull you up. And on the East Coast, and most of the East Coast and the West Coast, they do a lot of banner towing, and a Pawnee is actually a really widely used aircraft for that. And the rights for the Pawnee are actually down in Brazil at this point, and all the servicing for parts and stuff is mostly done through them, because a lot of older agricultural aircraft actually are sent down south to South and Central America, and you'll see a lot of Pawnees and Pawnee Braves down there now. But we appreciate you looking at this Pawnee, something a little bit different for the podcast and the channel, and we'll be doing a lot more civilian aircraft here in the future. So if you have any aircraft, if you're a local pilot or aircraft owner in the area, we would love to come check out your aircraft if you're wanting to share it. And we also have our stickers for sale still. Reach out to either Max or myself if you have our social medias, or just reach out to the podcast. And we also have the Planes on the Prairie Gmail down in the description for you to look at after there. So thanks for watching, guys. We really enjoy doing this for you, and catch us on the next one. Thanks for watching.